That's it, you're stuck. Go for it! Hey there, fellas. Alright, here it is. Our lovely G-wagen, which we fitted an awesome engine to. You'll recall that we have started it. That first start went well, that was all good. But there is just so much more work for us to do. There's the matter of tuning this engine, tidying up some of the plumbing, sorting the lockers, checking if the gearbox works, to ensure that everything runs beautifully. After that, we will of course go for a test drive. And I mean, we'll give it a proper shakedown. Because we are really keen to find out how this performs. We got 3 turbos and so on, we need this to be on point. And with that, let's get this little monster finished and try it out, let's go. In the previous installment, we started the engine on our G. And the wiring, well, it's all just sort of dangling in the meantime. And in this episode, we need to tidy everything up, correctly lay out the wires. We might have to delete any that we don't need. And, yeah, carefully lay them out. Integrate the gauge cluster that's for this engine. And given that I ripped out all of the factory G-wagen wiring, I'm going to be making everything out of Toyota looms. Now, since the factory Toyota wiring has got a bunch of connectors on it that are just covered, well, since all of it takes up space, I'm unwrapping all of this routing, taping wires together into bundles wherever that's required. That should help make everything more compact and overall make for a tidier wiring situation. You know what, Sergey? I was under the impression that literally just a week ago this was all assembled and covered. Why'd you take it all apart again? Because I've pulled another loom out from the Lexus. Time to sort the lockers. They are vacuum activated. We'll generate vacuum with the help of this brake booster. It's from some other vehicle. There are a bunch of tubes. We need to figure out how all of them are routed and restore everything. Make the system button or valve actuated. The fuel hanger, it will consist of a pump, fuel filter, and a mechanical fuel pressure reg. We'll be setting the fuel pressure ourselves. The whole thing is going to live in the cargo bay. Pulling fuel from the standard tank, we'll remove it, give it a clean, plumb the fuel lines, and the whole thing is going to work. So the fuel setup is going to be placed inside the cargo bay, and fuel is going to be coming from the factory fuel tank. We've washed it, it's in good shape. We'll just fill it up and we're good to go. The system is ready, we just need to power it up and we'll have fuel supply into the rail. I don't remember the exact wiring schematic for a 2J, but something tells me this ain't right. That this is not the correct wire. Can I have that, please? The Holy Scripture. That plug is number 2, or 1 rather, I think. Sergey, why is it running so bad? Sergey, you hear me? Why is it running so poorly? We have another problem. We don't have a temperature reading. Let's rev it some more. So apparently we're missing a module. Most likely the one that controls the interior electronics. Half of the gauge cluster is inoperative, and we would like to be able to see engine temperature, oil pressure, voltage and all of that. We need the entire gauge cluster to work, but in the meantime that's not the case. But we'll find the missing piece, find out where it goes, plug it in, and everything should work. Status report. We are running higher flow injectors on this engine, and as a result, the cylinders are getting flooded with gasoline. The engine is receiving about 15 to 20% more fuel than it needs, the mixture is piss poor, and the engine won't run properly. The first thing we need to do is make it so the engine knows that it's running bigger injectors. We want to try setting up a mechanical workaround. Here we have a mass airflow sensor. Here's the sensor, it's inside a pipe. We know the diameter of said pipe, we have the position of the sensor. These are the stock engine parameters. But since the injectors have gotten bigger, the diameter of this intake tube needs to be increased. But we'll be running the same sort of sensor inside of it, in order for the engine to think that it's receiving less air, prompting it to feed less fuel. Now, given that this engine is running a mass airflow sensor, the latter will need an encasement, and the turbos require an intake. I am currently tying 3 pipes into one. The turbos will connect to it. We'll have the MAF placed somewhere inside of one single tube, together with the housing. And we'll most likely put a filter somewhere up there as well. It'll most likely be of the snorkel type, because we don't have the space for it inside the engine bay. The 3-to-1 adapter is in. The pipes that are going into the turbos, I'll tighten everything while making adjustments to make sure the placement is right. From there, I'll remove the 3-to-1 piece once again. And I'm going to have to set up a single big pipe that's going to contain the mass airflow sensor. We've got some kind of weird but awesome Japanese trinket known as an Apexi AFC Neo, and we'll be using it to trick our MAF sensor. It's going to feed it the correct data required to run a turbocharged engine. Simply put, it'll make the mixtures right. It's going to trick the engine, the ECU, feed the correct data for it to ensure the right amount of fuel is being provided at the right time. It'll also allow us to lean the mixture out or make it richer. We've printed out 2 schematics, just like it said in the instructions. You've got the wiring diagram for the ECU, and it shows which wires to modify, specifically revs, throttle signal, the wires for the throttle position sensor, some other ones, earth. Now we find the right wires, do some stripping, splicing. I've extended the wires to run them from the cabin into the ECU. And yes, this is where the ECU is located. Then we tape everything up, and this controller should work at that point. Okay, it's working, we're good. Now it's time to tend to the mass airflow sensor. We've printed a bracket for it. We'll use a 72 mil pipe for starters, though we are going to experiment with the diameter to make sure the MEF sensor sends more or less correct data for the fuel system to work. So yeah, we are going to experiment with larger and smaller diameters, and that's why we've got this temporary mounting solution for the MEF sensor. Okay, so the mass airflow sensor is hooked up. There's no fuel pressure. We need to bring it up, get it up to at least 2 bar. We dialed the fuel pressure back to avoid flooding the engine when starting it. But now we crank it up, we can even try 2.5, Sergey. We'll start it a couple of times, while it's cold. ECU still has to adapt. It's misfiring. It's misfiring. But at least the mixture is more or less on point. The gauge is showing 11, so it is on the rich side, but we are getting somewhere. Something must not be working if... I think it's on this side. Yeah, I found it. Right, 29, 19, 22, 27, 29. Gas pedal position sensor. Little bugger. Coolant temperature sensor. Oh, for f***'s sake. This thing doesn't work. Anyway, pedal position sensor. All we can do is check the wiring. And there's a jerry can with gasoline right next to it. At least it's revving out. Where was the cutoff before? At 3.5 grand, I think? That's because the mass airflow sensor is connected. So some morons have taped up some wires. I mean, even if just one vein is touching, that's already a fail. You can clearly tell these wires have been tampered with a bunch of times, and now something's wrong with them. More stuff is now operational, like the gear shift position indicator, and the warning lights work for oil pressure, battery charge. Most likely we'll have a temperature reading. We've got the gear shift position, so pretty much everything is working now. And we don't know what was causing the problem, but we fixed it with the help of just one small acoustic wire that we connected to the CAN bus. So we got the CAN connection between the ECU and the gauge cluster all tied to a single wire. I mean, it could have been the ECU, or a wire might have been busted, but the issue has been resolved, and now everything works. We had some issues with the wires as well. Some of them were severed, and the ground connection that should have been running from the ECU to the sensors was apparently coming from the housing, resulting in loss of signal and faulty sensor readings. This resulted in the ECU throwing a bunch of codes. 7 in total, I think, were popping up here and there, but now everything works. Now we just need to fit some good spark plugs, because the old ones are toast, the engine was misfiring, and so we fit some good plugs and see how the engine runs. We'll even see some of the primary data. No longer misfiring. So now we're gonna properly dial in the mixture. And we need to sort the mass airflow sensor. You've got air hitting it right away, and so we're gonna have to work on the housing. So overall, things are good. Now we finish the car off, and we'll be out in no time. We will complete the tune-out on the road. We'll need to set the correct mixtures for the entire rev range to keep the engine from blowing up prematurely. We would like it to last for a bit. Okay, guys, we've got everything assembled. It's all looking good. And now it's time for the shakedown. Sergey, you may fire up the engine. And let's see how it drives. whether it can even set off in the first place, after all of the work that has been done to it. Oh, smash the gas already! Alright, so that's under load, and it is gonna get flooded at idle. Oh, the front wheels are spinning. That's enough. So the G-wagen is still suffering from the negative effects of the previous experiment that it went through. The axle is still bent, and now that the engine is operating quietly, we can hear that it's clicking. Sergey, drive straight some more and let's see... Yeah, you can hear clicking coming from the axle, so it's gonna require some welding. We thought it'd work as it is, but we got the angles wrong. It was the experiment when we had the G-wagen hanging off a tree, and things went not according to plan. Come on, punch it! The first of Sergey's inventions has given up. This is just bad. Nobody said this would work. As a matter of fact, somebody said that this wouldn't work. So when I press the button inside the cabin that trips the valve, vacuum is created inside this vacuum line, which in turn is hooked up to this thing. Inside you have a membrane, it lifts up, and together with it a piston goes up. Said piston creates hydraulic pressure. From there the brake fluid pushes onto this cylinder, and this bit right here pushes down like so. That in turn pushes down onto a plate inside the axle. There it is, you can see it from here. And it's what locks the axle. And that's how the lockers work on a G-wagen. Yeah, it's popping out intermittently for some reason. Maybe it's because we bent the axle. It's hard to tell. The locker has to be tested in the conditions it was meant for. We'll see whether it'll make a crunching noise. We need to spin the wheels while going uphill. I don't know, I mean, I've assembled everything. It should work fine. I put some brake fluid in, purged it, the air should have escaped. Okay, it's on. There we go, works perfectly. So here's what happened. I took apart these vacuum hydraulic units. One of them contains a little piston. You have a diaphragm, it pushes the brake fluid, and one of the clips on it was broken. It was supposed to stay in place like so, but it was popping out. That's why the front locker isn't working. The one in the back is, but not the front. And so we've machined this little thing that looks similar, which I'm about to install. Looks like I fixed it. So it was all because of the axle? Yeah, the bent axle. The first time it was repaired, they didn't straighten it all the way. The wheels were still sort of like this, but now I've hacked it, straightened it out even more, and now the locking diff works. So all of the off-road equipment on our G-wagen is finally in working condition. And we do need this thing to go off-roading. After all, this is a proper G, not one of those streamlined electric things. Ours should be able to make it all the way to... Also, we fixed the axle. The locker works better. It's not making any clicking or whining noises anymore. Sergey has fixed everything that was damaged during that fall. That's the third time he's redoing the intake. We agreed with Sergey to a certain setup, but he's redone it 3 times already. Everything after the housing, and each time the airflow changes. So every time we slightly alter those tubes, the diameter or angle, the engine starts to run very poorly, especially at idle. Last time we weren't able to do anything. It turned out we didn't have enough fuel pressure. It was around 2 and change, I think, and until we cranked it all the way up to 3 bar, the mixture just wasn't allowing us to sustain a stable idle. I am warming up the engine. We are checking to see that there are no leaks, how everything works, and while we're at it, we are putting the thing to good use. That's it, you're stuck. Seems to load up nicely when you got one wheel on this now. We need to dial in a bit more fuel at higher revs. Like above 4,000. Yeah, looks like. I think we're on fire. We'll look into it. Maybe we shouldn't bring the fire inside? Oh, that was just the oil burning off. We need to rectify the boost situation. Limit the pressure. I'll fit a spring. We'll tune it on wastegate pressure. Limit it to 0.6. You need to rev the engine up first to see 1.2. It picks up really high. Like how high? I didn't even look. We can't load it up properly. It does pack quite a punch though. It has got a lot of power, you can feel it. Red or brown, here you got one spring. I think fit one blue one for 0.4. 0.4 should work fine for us. We fit one green one, and get rid of that stack. I'm pretty sure that's why it was at 1.2. Alright, we are heading out. Sergey's gonna be keeping track of boost pressure. He swapped out the spring and the wastegate, and now we need to keep track and make sure the pressure doesn't go up too high. Sergey, if you see it going over 0.5, I want you to scream and panic that we're on fire. Oh, wow. The brakes are a Sergey special, so be careful. Gotcha. Center mounted. Doesn't want to. Oh, wow. Alright, let's see. Watch the boost. Excellent. How much was that? Didn't go over 0.5. About 0.4. That's a bit much. Yeah, a bit too high. Boost pressure is a bit too high, so don't be too aggressive. Let's just drive around. I'm already a fan. This is alright. And if we were to drive somewhere, well, I'd expect this engine to be really happy. But simply driving uphill, that's boring, isn't it? Yeah, we better put it to the test. Let's go left towards that. Oh man, look at that incline. Come on, come on. Yes! That's not all it's capable of. Awesome, don't let it dig in. There we go. Look at them scared, running in all directions. Go for it! No, that felt great. And it's so nice to sit in here now. A little help, please. Not bad. Look at him climbing. Okay guys, the outcome of this one was very positive indeed. This G-wagen used to be running an engine for a pause bus, and the thing was unstoppable. Though it wasn't particularly quick, the engine had plenty of power, but the driveline losses were pretty bad, and it overheated. It drove fine, but now with this sort of engine, and with the 3 turbos, we had to do a ton of work fine-tuning it, tending to the minor details. Sensors, wires, how much of what to feed in, all of the tiny corrections. But we got this to work, everything is good and well. There is still a bit of work to do, but this rig now drives very well. You don't need 50 meters anymore to get up to a semi-decent speed. This engine gets this G up to speed almost instantaneously. That is good, and even now you can see that you can very much use it to play King of the Hill. You can smoke a lot of different vehicles. I reckon this thing will be able to get very far. Another cool thing is that this build didn't even really cost us all that much. You'll recall that the engine was just straight up a piece of trash, but we completely rebuilt it in the garage with our own hands, and now it works. Yeah guys, this thing drives, everything is great. Watch, subscribe. This isn't the last time you're gonna see this build. And that's it for this video, catch you guys later.